Hi, my name is Mel. I do a variety of tech videos, information technology, cybersecurity, science, general interest, religion, atheist videos, and I'm hoping some of these presentations help you, or at least I did them mostly for me, but if you find them of help, great. So the following presentation will explore the components of AAA in cybersecurity, which is authentication, authorization, and accounting. So I'll cover the fundamental concepts, practical methods, challenges, and implementation strategies to secure IT systems effectively. So we will begin with the fundamentals of AAA, then dive into each component of authentication, authorization, and accounting. Then we will discuss how to implement AAA in modern security systems, and including protocols, integration, and best practices. So understanding the basics of AAA is crucial as it forms the backbone of secure system design. The following section covers definitions, importance, and key terminology related to AAA. So AAA stands for Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting. Authentication verifies the user identity, so ensures secure system access. Authorization controls what type of access that user gets, and accounting tracks the user activity. So together, by authorizing a user to, so authentication, so ensure secure system access, describe what you can access by authorization, and accounting a trail, so you can comprehensive security framework. AAA ensures that only legitimate users access resources with appropriate permissions and that their actions are logged for accountability. This reduces security risks and supports compliance with standards. And it's generally required by most governments these days. In fact, all governments will require some level of this, okay? Key terminologies include credentials, access controls, audit trails, and policies. Understanding these helps in designing and managing AAA mechanisms effectively. So credentials verify user identity and are essential for secure access to systems and data. Access control restricts and manipulates and manages user permissions to protect resources. Audit trails record user activities to ensure accountability and to help detect security breaches, and policies define rules and guidelines to govern security practices and user behavior. So you need all of these things and more, okay? So authentication is a process of confirming a user's identity. So the following section explores common methods, multi-factor authentication, and related challenges. So authentication methods can include passwords, biometrics, tokens, and digital certificates. Each varies in security level and usability depending on the context. And generally, people will have like a password and a one-time password, like a password and what they call MFA, where you have to get a one-time code on a phone or a tablet or something, or via email. But you might also have to use a password and then biometrics and a pass number. So these you can have time sensitive codes, that's token based. Password, that is the most commonly used. Biometric, use physical unique physical tracks like fingerprints or iris scans. Digital certificates can verify within secure communication. So there's different levels depending on what the company needs and the level of security required. Okay. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, combines multiple verifications, such as something you know have or are enhancing security beyond single factor authentication. So, like that's as I said, you'd use a password and maybe a one-time code sent to a phone or a tablet, or you could use iris scan and another method or something else like that, okay? And this strengthens security, right? You should not just have password alone. That is not recommended. And passwords, I would recommend 12 character with special characters included as being a minimum requirement. And use password managers if people can't remember passwords. Don't be sharing passwords around. That's another thing. Authentication systems face threats like phishing, credential theft, and replay attacks. Awareness and mitigation strategies are essential to maintain security. So, like phishing attacks trick users into revealing credentials. So, like they can be via email or SMS or via voice sometimes. Credential theft involves stealing login details, and you can do that sometimes by hacking their HTML page or otherwise other things. Replay attacks reuse intercepted authentication data to gain unauthorized access to systems. And you need to raise security awareness with all your users and your workers. So regular education and, talks about it as well. Authorization defines what authenticated users are allowed to do. So the following section covers access controls, policy enforcement, and practical examples. RBAC or role-based access control assigns permission based on user roles, simplifying management and improving security to enforce the principle of least privilege. Okay, and that's important. You only want to give users the minimum of what they need. You should not give them user rights and roles based on what they don't need. All right. You can do groups on an individual user base or in a group, and sometimes you might need to have somebody just individual user rights because specialized, and you should never have the same person in control of everything. That's just not going to work. Authorization policies must be clearly defined and consistently enforced to prevent unauthorized actions and ensure compliance. And so you would do this along with your legal team, your HR team, and cybersecurity and information technology team. So you need to say authorization, like, what your most common asset is going to be financial customer data. That's what you need to have secured the most in most instances. But you need to decide if someone's going to be able to use, like, access the database. Can they change it or can they just read it? Can they send the information on or can't they? That sort of thing. Can they back up or not back up? Can they pay a person but also deduct superannuation? And can they, like all sorts of things you need to sort of define who does what, and then you need to look at authorization policies that are written down that everybody understands and that legal all sign off on, all right? And this protects you. So if a breach occurs, and it most likely will because we operate on assumed breach, then your company, if you've done everything that you can to protect your users, your customers, your workers, your company, then you're minimizing harm and financial harm as well, and reputational loss, all right? Examples can include like file permissions, network access control, and application-specific authorization mechanisms used in various industries. So again, that's what I'm saying, like databases, or you could have like web browsers or any number of web applications. You could have like, financial software, you could have anything else. So you could, into like file permissions, you could do network access controls. I would suggest that you do all of it. So file permissions, network access controls, and application specific. I would do all of this, all right? Accounting involves monitoring and recording user actions to provide audit trails for security analysis, compliance, and forensic investigations. So effective logging captures key events such as logins, resource access, system changes, and enabling detection of suspicious activity. So, like, if users in a specific area normally don't log in after, say, 5:30, you would see that if there's activity in login on accounts that don't log in after that time, that would be suspicious. It's worth investigating. So, and obviously you need to look up how remote workers and their IP addresses and having like a, VPN, like a dedicated VPN for them and like firewalls and all of this sort of stuff. But you could also too, like if a user who normally might not, like if you've got someone who's finance team who's looking at the cybersecurity controls, they probably don't need to be looking at that. So this is sort of, you want to enable logging so you can detect if things are not, and it might be for a perfectly good reason, but in most cases it's not going to be, all right? Audit trails will provide a chronological record of user action, supporting incident investigations and demonstrating compliance with policies. Yes. And you want to do this. Many regulations mandate accounting practices, making thorough logging and reporting essential for legal and operation compliance. And many regulations will also insist on, all the A's, the authentication, the authorization, and accounting. And like pretty much any company in Australia, if you have like any like IT, you're going to be expected to do this on some level, all right? The following section focuses on AAA protocols, integration challenges, and best practices to implement AAA effectively in current IT environments. So protocols like Radius and TAC-AX Plus facilitate AA services in networks, all right? And we'll do more stuff about Radius and TAC-AX in another video. I just want to, get the base. This is just, basic one. So they facilitate in networks, providing standardized ways to authenticate, authorize, and account for users. All right. So I'll do separate videos about Radius and TAC-AX, as I call it. AAA solutions must integrate smoothly with existing directory services, applications, and network devices to ensure seamless security enforcement. Yes, so you're going to need firewalls, VPNs, blah, blah, blah. Also, your routers, you're going to have a good network design, routers and switches. You also want intrusion detection and intrusion protection systems. Like multiple different levels of defense and depth, as they call it. All right. So, adopting the principle of least privilege, continuous monitoring, and adaptive authentication are best practices. Emerging trends such as AI-driven access control and zero trust security models. So, zero trust, just briefly, because I've done another video about that, is that you don't trust anything, right? Zero trust just means that exactly. So you have to check and recheck and recheck, all right? So if they go to a different segment of the network, and you should have your network segmented, which is just broken up. So the most you should have the DMZ, which is the public facing, right? And then, but the most secure stuff should be really well controlled and secure. And then you've got layers between that from least secure, which is the public facing, the DMZ, demilitarized zone, to the most secure, which you obviously usually is going to be databases, financial records, custom information, that sort of stuff. All right. So look, AAA is fundamental for securing systems by validating identities, controlling access, and maintaining accountability. Implementing robust frameworks enhances security posture and supports compliance in today's complex cyber security environments. So I said there's multiple things you need to look at. So you need to have a reasonably good network design. And if you don't, you need to look at the design you've got and see how it can be improved and upgraded, all right? Legacy devices, if they're network, like servers, doesn't matter, computers, switches, it doesn't matter what they are, you will need to upgrade them eventually. So set yourself a timeline and a budget to upgrade to, if not maybe brand new, maybe look at secondhand that's quite not so old. But you do really need to look at having fairly decent equipment, depending on your budget, obviously. But like, there's things you can do even with the bare basic equipment. So that's, you can set up a LAN like just with a router or something. You don't even need a server, but you can set up one PC as a server and stuff like that. You can do all sorts of things. Look, I would just suggest that learning about like network design, network protocols, how to harden operating systems, how to harden your network, how to harden your cloud systems, how to what protocols you should use. I would recommend IPv6. I know a lot of people still use IPv4. I recommend using different sorts of protocols where you can, like, that are more secure. WPA3 for wireless. So that's just, but as I said, this is a short video for that. Thank you.